Welcome to the Arcfluence Podcast, where we talk about how design impacts the way we live, work, and invest. I'm Nick Caracan, your host, and with me today, as usual, is my business partner and co-host, Paul Fatkins.
Good morning. So my thing of the day, I don't think I have one today. It's rainy, it's miserable.
So you're giving up on us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, over the weekend, I did get an upgrade to my car, if you noticed. So I get a deal on a new model. So same thing. Ford Maverick. You probably walked right by it. You didn't even know it was different.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I did notice.
Yeah. It's literally the same color, the same truck, the same everything except a newer year with less miles.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we've been so busy that it's hard for us to even keep up with everything.
Well, that and like I said, just like the weather the last couple of days has been putting everybody into a down state.
I'll take it over snow.
True.
I did just give you some good news about us going into contract.
Yeah. So I'll knock on wood. We still got to get through that process.
We do.
So
we do.
It's a small celebration, but hopefully everything goes smoothly and we get into the space.
I like that you're heeding my advice about not counting your chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah.
Good for you, Paul.
It's good news. I'm excited, but I don't want to get too excited. So.
All right. Well, let's get into today's show. We have an exciting guest here. I'm really looking forward to talk about higher end custom homes as we get more and more clients of this caliber. Today's guest is Blake Souls. He's in charge of business development for Summit Building Company, and well, I'll just let him introduce himself. Yeah, so let's get into it.
I think Blake, welcome to the show. I think you and Nick will get along. Nick does a lot of our business development stuff too. We try to divide and conquer. So it's like these days we're so busy. It's like it's hard for any one person to do everything. So yeah,
you have to be diverse for sure as a team. Well, my name is Blake Souls, as he mentioned. I'm with Summit Building and Roofing Company. We love to serve customers around the Columbus market, but actually I would say all of Ohio as well. So from a personal standpoint, we'll start there because I love the personal side of business. Personal standpoint, I am a proud husband of a beautiful wife and proud father of 7 children, 6 girls.
7 kids.
Crazy, right? So we got to just pause for a second.
You can't just keep going.
You can't I can't roll that off and go to the next thing. Oh, dang it.
No,
okay. Understood.
I have one, and like I sometimes have night terrors with one.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge responsibility. So like at what, like 3 or 4, you're just kind of like, okay, they'll figure it out.
You gotta just let them. Hopefully you make it. Don't die today.
Yeah, they have to almost raise themselves.
They do it. Well, I will say that's actually, and anybody who has a lot of kids that's listening to this will understand this. That like our oldest is almost 16 and our youngest is 2. So like the older ones, 16, the 12-year-old, 11-year-old, they all help with the younger ones and getting them ready and whatnot. And like if we're rushing in the morning, it'll be like to the 12-year-old, hey, put clothes on Leah, just get her dressed real quick. And so you'll do that or whatever, because getting out of the house in the morning is a nightmare.
I like want to take my son and like transplant him in your house just for like a few days, just so he realizes just how good he has it.
Yeah.
I mean, my word.
No drama too. The drama in the morning or the drama at night. I'll tell my daughters a lot of time, I'll be like, guys, stop fighting, go to sleep. You'll like each other in the morning, potentially. You'll get through it. So no, it's an adventure. And I don't know if there's a video recording, but if there's not, I'm bald and everyone knows why. So
yeah. No, it's just audio only.
Yeah, so. Well, everyone, I'm bald, and I'm bald because I have 6 daughters.
Yeah. So. Although Nick, if we get into the new space or when we get into the new space, we'll have to set something up so we have video as well.
Yeah,
so,
that'd be cool.
All right, Blake, now that we established you have 7 children.
And no hair.
And no hair. Yes.
Now you can keep going.
Perfect. So I won't make this intro too long, but a backstory, I started out my career in logistics. So I got to know production logistics side of things, which actually helped a lot in knowing how to run projects or understand budgets and different things like that. So I ran logistics for companies like CTDI, which does all of the production for Spectrum. I did production for like pharmaceuticals. So nothing like, transporting fentanyl within your facility. That's a little nerve-wracking. But anyway, so I started there, and then I got into the remodeling world years ago, and I started out interior, just really loving building kitchens for people and bathrooms and other projects as well.
That's where I started.
So
You guys are like part brothers. Yeah, that's where Nick started. I was just about to say it.
I was a licensed contractor in New York City.
Yeah.
Did kitchens and
And
baths.
that's literally the first thing he started doing for people.
well, joke's on you. We're actually brothers, and we're announcing it to you today. So
I have 7 nieces,
Yeah.
six nieces and one nephew.
and you had that. Yeah, we weren't planning to announce it today, but here it is. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then now just in the full building aspect with Summit Building and Roofing and working with people just like you. So that's kind of my intro.
I remember the first time I got introed to you. It was on a project here in Columbus in Franklin County.
Yeah,
and you called me semi panic, not quite panic,
probably
but
full panic. It's all right.
Well, I mean, the client was trying to get things done for the end of year tax credit, right? She needed to get things in place by a certain time point. And so her contractor that she had before had bailed on her, right?
Yep.
So, and then how did she find you guys? She's just calling around hey, can you do it in this time? Can you do it in this time? And whoever said yes, she's like, great, I'll hire you.
So I'm actually sitting here trying to figure out, so I built kind of how I look at doing business is building relationships with business owners, with just anybody in business. And so I had actually built a relationship with the business owner of the solar company. And so she called the solar company, and the solar company said, hey, call Blake. And then she called me, and then
small world.
Now we're here. So.
Yeah. All I remember is you were like, yeah, nothing's moving. I submitted. Now they're asking for some zoning compliance. And we were just doing a small dormer, re-roof job, basically. Nothing major.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing major.
And then she was going to do solar panels on top of that. The room expanded a little bit. It was a small
It turned out
project.
great, but the major piece of it was she had to install the solar panels before the end of the year.
Yeah.
She loses that tax credit.
Yes.
But she had to get the dormer and all the roof stuff done before she could do the panels.
Correct. So it was stressful.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully at Franklin County, we've worked with them, I can't count how many times. And it's I have people on speed dial and emails of them. And we've even gone to the point of having meetings with them where we sit down and it's just guys, this red tape is ridiculous. We need to do something about it, because them in particular, especially for the zoning compliance part of it, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And for this project, it wasn't required.
Yeah.
So as soon as I called them,
that was the
as
issue.
soon as I called them, and I'm like, okay, guys, one, your process is absurd, but two, we're doing nothing here there's no reason for this zoning compliance part of it. And within, I think 24 hours, they're like, great, we'll kick it to the building department. And then the building department approved it, a day or two later after that.
So what I needed to do is I should have started out my first call ever with him and be like, I know Paul Fatkins. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, got it. We'll put it through. So you just needed to say your name and we were good. So I think I called them 5-6 times. I sent emails and I was getting responses. It wasn't that I wasn't getting responses, but it was that they weren't doing it.
Yeah, but I think you were talking with the building department people who, for whatever reason, kicked it to the zoning people. And then as soon as it gets to that zoning team, that's the thing. They're all in the same building.
Yeah.
They're literally sitting next to each other in the office, and yet they don't talk. So it's if you're dealing with the building department, they're in their own world, and the zoning people are in their own world. And if they kick something over to them, the building people may reply to you, but if the zoning people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, the building people never move anything forward.
Well, I can understand. They have hundreds of projects at certain times of the year that they need to deal with and can't.
That doesn't validate my emotions, though.
I mean, this is not my first time engaging with Summit. I know Jason.
Yeah.
He did the composite siding on my house. He did the roof on my garage. But you guys do a lot of high-end luxury work. And the craftsmanship is amazing. And that's also why we wanted to have you here. But can you speak to a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day with in the company? And
yeah, for sure. So I actually do a lot. First, I engage with other business owners, as I've mentioned. So I have a lot of, I get the fun job of, going and meeting with people and having lunch.
See, Nick, your job is not that bad.
No.
I have 6 jobs, Paul. I would love just to have that one job.
No one said I had just one job. So wait, I have 10. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just trying to pile on because you're like, oh, I have the fun job.
Yeah. No, but I get to meet a lot of people. I get to build those relationships. But I also get to give back. And I love that about business. And I believe the best the people that are most successful in the business are the ones who serve other people.
Agreed.
And if you can serve other people, that's different. Value's different for each person. So how I serve a solar company, for example, is different than how I would serve another or a homeowner or whatnot, because the solar company, I can't always provide referrals to them for solar because not everyone wants solar panels. But what I can do is I can provide value by continuing to contact them about what portions of the roof we got done, what they need for make sure all the pipes are moved so that they have clearance for like fire, walkway, stuff like that. Those things provide value to those homeowners. So those companies. So I build those relationships. That's one thing I do. But I also have the great privilege of managing a lot of the projects that I bring in. So the project that we had for the homeowner we mentioned just a little bit ago, where we stepped in and helped them get that. By the way, the end result, we did get it done. So they could get the tax credit, just FYI.
You were like, what, like days away or weeks, 1 or 2 weeks?
No, 2 days away. So
we were right on the
we were
so
good,
happy.
but she was, but we were good. And then the solar company came in on 2 days before the end of the year. So that was fun. But anyway, so I manage that project, and depending on the size of the project, I'll bring other people in. So that's what I do day to day in that sense. And then that's pretty much my job with Summit.
I mean, especially when we do some commercial stuff too, but especially on the residential side when we're doing those projects, like. I mean, like, again, you talked about the relationships with the owners and partners that you're working with or whatever. I mean, like, that's a critical thing.
Yep.
I mean, especially when people have so much emotion and, into these projects. I mean, especially if it's their personal home.
Yep.
They're just on a different level and they have a different mindset. And it's like, I don't want to say like hand holding, I'm trying to think of a word, but I mean, like, you really need to help them and guide them through what's best, because sometimes, so, like Nick will say, like, I'm always going to give you my opinion on something, so it's like, whether you do it or not, like, that's up to you. But like, if I think it's better to do it this way, I'm going to voice my opinion. And it's like, we always try to just have the best relationship with the client and give our feedback no matter what. We're not going to be silent and just be like, do whatever you want.
Yep. I agree.
I mean, we're always trying to do it, not just give our feedback, but do our best and make the project the best.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out, like sometimes it's a home run and sometimes it's just okay. But in this particular case, the client was so happy, and I didn't even tell you this, but I got the privilege. She made the introduction to the chief of police of Worthington.
Yeah, where she works there, I believe, or has a connection there. Yeah.
So we're advising on that project, and that might lead to some other things that we can tie you into too.
But I mean, like, fostering that relationship, and again, like, it's a very personal thing when you're interacting with everybody, and it's like you have skin in the game. It's like, if you don't care, then I guess it's like you just go through and do whatever they want and just draw something up. But I mean, like, first, for Nick and I, like, we care. So we can't just like forget about whatever and do whatever. Like, we're invested in the projects. We want to see the best result. We want to see the best value to the project come at the end of the day. We don't want to see something just like slapped together just because the owner says, well, I have this idea. It's like, well, great, but let's talk about it.
Well, not to bring drama to the conversation, but the contracting world, the construction world, is not known for integrity. That's the reality. So we're in a space where people have their guards up. Their focus is on the stereotypes and all the fears and
it's like building inspectors too.
Yeah.
Right. There's a certain persona there that people have in their mind, like, oh, these guys are just I don't want to deal with them. They're idiots or whatever.
And I think that's when,
like, everyone's human at the end of the day.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I think that's when empathy comes in, especially when talking with a client, because if you truly listen first to what they're looking for, and that's, a property owner, that's a business owner, that's a homeowner, residential, it doesn't matter. You listen to them and what their concerns are, what they're looking for, and then just by listening, you build that initial trust. And then as the conversations continue to go, then it's what you're saying earlier, saying, hey, I definitely hear what you're saying, and all of that can be fantastic. What I have seen based upon my experience is that this may work better for you. At the end of the day, you tell me, because you're the one hiring us, but I would feel bad if I didn't mention this to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's that's what you're saying, but that's a day-to-day conversation.
Yeah.
So.
But it's also because you care, right?
Correct.
It's
Yes.
You're not just going through the motions where it's like, oh, I'm going to say everyone's doing this, so do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that. It's more like it doesn't make sense to do it this way. It's probably better to do it this way, but like, I'm going to give you the option. Now you decide.
Yep.
So
yeah, exactly.
And kind of on that note, how long has Summit been in business?
Summit's been in business for almost 16 years now.
Yeah. So I feel like when you have the opportunity to stay in business and build a brand and build a team of people that allows people to have the day-to-day activity and then the leadership working on the business, you're able to invest back into the business and create something special, which leads to, better communication. These principles that have a resulting in a better outcome, right? I think that's why it's hard for younger companies to compete with some of these established companies because they figured it out, right? Paul, we've been doing this for almost 17 years. We learned a couple of things, right? Coming out of the gate, I couldn't design a house the way I can today, So, I mean, I think that track record is also important.
Yeah. I mean, every project, every interaction, like you grow a little bit. So it's just, I think you're right. Like it's hard when you start, but as you go, you just build that momentum.
It's like pieces of a puzzle. When a business owner, homeowner, they meet you and they're talking, and then they have you listen to them. So that's that first puzzle piece that was put in. Then you gave ideas, and that's another puzzle piece. And then all these puzzle pieces put together, and then you say, well, we've been at it for 16 years. We'll take care of you. We're licensed, bonded, insured. You see all those, and that's that final puzzle piece. And they're just like, when can we start? You know what I mean? If you know what I mean? But that's just because you're treating people with respect and they feel like you're going to take great care of them. And that's our experience with the homeowner that you were talking about. And then we just moved into another project actually from you guys too, same thing.
Yeah. So. And this one's a bit of a fun project because it's a residential house in a residential area. And like when we first started talking with her, it was such a headache because she's like, essentially she wants to do like a care facility within this home, but it's a single family residential home. And it's like, well, if you're going to do a care facility, I mean, that's a commercial property, like there's different building codes to look and reference there. I mean, like you're opening a whole can of worms here. And she's like, no, I just want to keep it a house and here's some conversations with the city. So, I mean, at the end of the day, when we dug into it, we still tried to go that residential route. But that was like after we had like at a certain point, we had a meeting with the city where it's basically like, no way this is happening. Forget it. And it's like, okay. So then it's like, unfortunately, to the owner, we had to have that hard conversation. Like, hey, you're going to have to make some investment. You're going to have to make changes. You're going to have to update stuff. And it has to meet all these other codes.
Listen, I think it was worth the effort we put in to try to keep it a residential home because there are loopholes where you can operate businesses out of, out of a home. But
for what she wanted, it was like, just a step too far.
You're right.
So, but what's interesting is the zoning side of it, they're still classifying it as like a residential because we're not changing really anything on the outside.
Yep.
So it's going to look exactly how it looks on the outside. It's still a single family home. It fits into the neighborhood perfectly.
Yeah.
But the inside is completely
Department
different.
of Buildings. Yeah. Commercial standards.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But I have to say, kudos to her because that home is like the perfect setup for what she's trying to do with the assisted living because with the place in the basement and the egress door out there, which I'm sure the sprinkler system company very much appreciated that to bring them down that way. Yep. And then just like the decking on the back and then how the bedrooms are set up. And I mean, it is a perfect spot. It's definitely a big investment, but I think she'll be okay financially.
If you want to live in a neighborhood,
that's what I was just
unique.
Yeah,
it's unique.
I was just going to make that point. So my wife's a clinical psychologist. She actually did some rounds in the nursing homes at one point, and these facilities are, like it's for profit, and like the standard of care there, the level of care there is just not as good as it really should be. And so it's like sad and depressing to be in that environment sometimes. Like even her as a worker going there, like was not the best environment to be in. Like she only lasted for about a year in that environment and she's like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
So I completely understand, this client's perspective where she wants to take this single family home in a single family residential area and basically turn it into a very small care facility for 5 individuals, right? To where she can give like the kind of level of care and support that as an older, human, you basically deserve at that point.
And to add at least one little small note on that, I had a conversation with her, was it 2 days ago, when we were meeting about the project, and she told me, she said, I hope this business works. I put a lot of investment into it. Obviously, it's been taking a while, and I'm worried, but I really believe in it. And she goes, it's going to be different. She goes, I know it's going to be different because I'm going to be working. I'm going to be one of the people that's going to help care for these individuals that are in the house. And she goes, I believe that if you truly do right by people and you don't do it for the money, you do it because you want to help, then it'll come back to you tenfold financially as well. And I was like, I can't say her name, but I was going to say, hey, I was going to say her name, but I was like, I said her name and I was like, you got it. You know what I mean? I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but you at least have the right mindset. So I'm actually excited for her in that way. It makes me excited as a contractor to then be very involved with her throughout the whole process. That just makes business so much more rewarding in that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun side of the business, when you get to hear all these stories, why people are so invested in stuff. I mean, sometimes Nick and I are dealing with an investor where it's just like, hey, I'm just looking to do this as cheap as possible, get it turned around, and that's it. Okay, fine. Like, that's their game and that's what they're doing, and they're just going based on volume or whatever. But I mean, other times you really hear, you get this connection, you really hear this background story, and that's what makes it fun to have all these different interactions as you go through.
I'd say in our field, we work with a lot of contractors, and we want our projects to get realized. I feel like I've said this 1,000 times, but like,
oh yeah,
we don't design things thinking that they're just going to get filed away and forgotten about. We really want to see them get realized and built.
There's one or two that were not built, and still to this day, I think about it, and it's like, man, like, had it been built,
especially the good ones, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's one on our website we won a award for last year, but I mean, like, and we submitted under the unbuilt category. It's like, well, that's a category, we'll submit under it, see what happens. But I mean, like Nick said, like, it's still fun to go through that whole process with the owner, to get it built, to deal with all the headaches, So
my point is, it's that mindset. I respect that, and I wish there were more contractors that shared that vision, and in a sense to like this, every project, might not be portfolio worthy, but like every project can be done well at a high level, right? I think that's important.
I mean, if I was, a client and I had people helping me, my home may not be a portfolio, but I would want to be treated just the same. I mean, I feel like why would I not be? I'm another human. Just because I don't have a house or a design that's going to be like crazy when it's done doesn't mean I don't deserve it. So
well said.
If I put myself in the homeowner's viewpoint, into their shoes, then it makes me be more empathetic to them and help them. I think in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
But so aside from that, you guys also do some stuff on the commercial side as well, right?
We do, yeah.
Technically, the last project we just talked about is, like I said, that single family home to a commercial space, which is kind of a unique one. But I mean, like, in general, you still do like small retail spaces or other things like that as well, right?
Yeah, so we do small retail spaces. We can build small retail spaces from the ground up. We can remodel them from the inside. We can do everything on the outside. And then when it gets to like bigger commercial, we usually stick to like a bread and butter, like a TPO roof or something like that. We just did,
like a 50,000 square foot building or something like that.
No, well, this one was our biggest gutter job we ever had. It was like 1.5 miles of gutters on a building.
Wow.
And it was unreal. Yeah. And they were like 9-inch gutters. And so, we've had some big buildings that we've done, but this particular one, gutter wise, was the biggest one we've ever done. So it was cool. The project is done and went flawlessly. So it was a big project for Summit.
You just triggered a memory. When I was putting gutters on my house, my wife and I wanted to do half rounds with the round downspouts, and Jason like pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey, look, we can do these half rounds for you, but I just want you to know like the slope of this. Have you done the math here?" He's like, "We can get you a really classy, wide gutter, standard gutter, and then do the nice round downspouts. So it's kind of a compromise." It turned out great. It functions great. And you know what? Every time I walk around Dermot Village, I'm looking around and I see some half things. And if it's raining, the water's just going in there and sliding right out. So I'm glad I listened to him.
It picks up speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially functionality has to meet design. And sometimes it takes compromise from both sides to make that happen. So, and Jason, he's just a fantastic guy.
He's a straight shooter. I like that about him. Yeah.
Well, and it probably speaks to experience, right? He's done it enough that he knew, with the roof, by the time the water gets to the end, especially if it's a decent rain, it's going to have quite a bit of speed and it's just going to right past the gutter. Yeah.
Yep.
So you mentioned you started in interiors.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some high-end interiors? It's like my favorite thing.
Sure.
So tell me about some of past projects. So we've actually done episodes on like what to think about when we're doing a high-end kitchen. Do you want to speak to that a little bit about like just how do we elevate a space with interiors?
For sure. And not to say this egotistically or anything like that, but just a little credibility. I've probably designed anywhere from like 300 to 500 kitchens probably in my tenure, I should say. And I say that only in the sense of, I can speak to it but give me grace because it has been a little bit since I helped design a kitchen. So I think, first of all, a high-end kitchen or high-end bathroom, anything like that, does take some time. It takes that, due diligence on the front end to make sure everything is accounted for. And I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about, do you want a silverware pull out? Do you want a trash pull out? Like all the accessories, like those are important. Or what type of cabinets? Where are the cabinets made? Are they going to be soft close? Or are they going to, what are they going to do? Do you want, right?
If it's high end, if it's investor grade, then... All right. But we're talking high end.
Yes, high end. Yes,
what's investor grade? We only do high end.
Yes, but yeah,
we've done those. We've done those. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say from a high end standpoint, I remember I was working on a kitchen, and I'm actually going to talk about this one because we had a little bit of hangups on it. And so I kind of want to speak to it in that way too, because it didn't go exactly as we thought the design would go. And then you have to problem solve, obviously, and figure it out. But it was actually a decently modest home. It wasn't anything absolutely spectacular, but they came to me and they were like, "Hey, this is a forever home, and we want to put the quality into this." So we had like Amish-made cabinetry, the whole 9 yards in there. And so she was, the homeowner we were tearing down a wall, a load-bearing wall. And then we were also building like a butler pantry. And so it was the kind of the typical L shape is what it was currently. And then we were going to take the cabinets all the way into the dining room. So you cut out that wall between the kitchen and dining room, which a lot of people are doing nowadays just to get that more open feel.
Yep. And then throw in an island that parallels the L.
Yes, exactly. And so we actually got our bigger island because now that the wall, it was like we ended up doing a 14-foot island. So
how did you find a slab for that?
Probably two pieces?
Sometimes they have to come in two pieces. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you get the right countertop company, they can really make that line invisible.
Okay, so. There you go.
Yeah. It's difficult, challenging. I've seen good installs.
Yep.
So. But Nick and I always, there's a certain size where it's like, hey, just so you know, it's going to be challenging past this size.
Yep.
Yep.
And so, and then we built the butler pantry. But what I will say that in this is big from the initial design because it looks so pretty from like the papers and all the blueprints and whatnot. But then getting into it, what wasn't factored in was that the load-bearing wall actually jogged like this, and it was kind of weird. And we didn't really know fully that it was going to do that initially, but when you tear into it, you realize it, and then it ended up having to just do I can't remember what we did, like a column or something like that. But that was an issue because of egress. So the size of cabinets were already ordered, like the egress became an issue. So the butler pantry like had to be built a little bit smaller, and then like because cabinets were going on the other side of the butler pantry, and then you walked in and there were cabinets inside the butler pantry. So it became a little of an issue. Problem solved, figured it out. It was all good in the end. But it was just beautiful, white cabinets, Carrera countertops. It may have been Carrera Gold. I can't remember. But
yeah, the age of Carrera. I remember that.
Yes, it's going away a little bit, but
yeah. But that's one thing where we definitely lean on the contractors. A lot more. Like anything that's unforeseen. I mean, we're not going in and demoing anything. We're not opening anything up. When Nick and I go on site, yeah, we're using a fancy high-end laser scanner to take measurements and capture everything and take pictures and take videos and right. I mean, basically, like we've set ourselves up as the best we can to be as successful as we can be, but that doesn't alleviate this concern where you open something up and you find something that nobody saw before. Not even the scanner. See, it's not a freaking X-ray machine.
Yep.
So it's not going to scan through the wall. So yeah, I mean, like there's always stuff like that where we just have to rely on the contractor eyes, and then it's a conversation at some point where it's like they call you up and it's like, hey, we got a problem. We need to talk about this, and then you're just trying to figure out the solution.
That's why new builds sometimes become easier to a certain degree because you're not dealing with unknown conditions that are sometimes discovered.
I would say on all degree, actually, in from us, because we're able to put everything together the way we thought. So yeah, I would actually say, yeah, because the unforeseen circumstances, we try to tell homeowners as much as possible or business owners, we could run into this, but we don't know because to your point, we're not Superman.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to set that expectation too. I've now had that conversation so many times. I'm getting better at it, but it's still difficult with some clients because like you can't say, you can't necessarily say like, if we find something like that is going to be additional time and effort that we'll have to spend figuring out. And that's not included in this price.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll have like a do not exceed, but it's padded.
Yeah. The other thing we're doing too in our drawing, we're not an interior design company, we're an architecture company. So, like we have partners that we work with, consultants that we work with for other things like engineering, interior design, stuff like that. But like, we're not putting together like a cabinet package, like, I don't know, like to what it, like, do you work with a lot of interior designers too, where, like you're the one who's actually like reaching out to the cabinet people and saying, hey, give me your shop drawings, let me review them, and I'll put them in front of the owner and sign off on them and let's go. Like, are you kind of doing some of that legwork when you get into a project, or are you like relying on others to kind of feed you stuff?
So in the past, I would do a lot of that design myself. We would reach out to we used to work with Amish-made cabinetry where I was previously at. What I would say now would be we bring interior designers in to help, or suggest a couple of interior designers to a homeowner, and then they can then work with, and then we can work back and forth to figure out what that particular cabinet company
it's still a process.
It's still a process.
Yeah. I mean, and we do that. I used to sell cabinets. So, I mean, when I lay out a kitchen, we're thinking about appliances. We're thinking about, those things, the placement of those items, and the size and the functionality of the cabinet placement. But Paul, to you're correct. We're not doing the 3 drawers. We're not designing that.
Yeah. We'll, I mean, our drawings are designed to get a permit, right? To set the contractor free to start work, right? And so like sometimes there's an interior designer with our stuff. That's excuse me now. Sometimes there's an interior designer with our stuff that is, providing additional information. Sometimes there's not, because sometimes the owners don't necessarily want to pay for that additional service. And there's a gentleman we were working with where he's doing a lot of that himself, and then he's going to feed it to his contractor. So I was just curious if, what amount of work you were doing, like once you got into a project.
And I say that, but at times it's sometimes us. Like sometimes I'll step in the design. I just met a customer a couple months ago, met him at a tile shop and helped him pick out tile and whatnot to help out from that standpoint. So I think it really depends.
I mean, anything can be done. It's just time and effort, right?
Correct.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to put the time and effort into it. And it's like, if we're the ones doing it, then that's a service that we're providing for a fee.
Yep.
I always recommend working with a third party, like consultant for interior design. And we do provide that service. But I would say that despite the fact that a lot of cabinet companies do offer design services, like they'll do your layout. If you send them the drawings, they'll do a layout for you. It's still good to run it by somebody who understands the spacing between the countertops and the cabinets. Yep. Are we going all the way up to the ceiling? Are we putting a crown there? Are we doing uplighting? Are we, like these details that end up to finish a project can change the perspective of being in the space. Lighting. I mean, we have to plan for that too. So like sometimes just being thoughtful about where we're placing the lighting goes a long way to create a mood. Let's put the switch on dimmers. Wow, this kitchen is almost transformed just because we have some tertiary lighting on a dimmer switch. So there's things that I like to at least bring to our clients' attention to think about if they're not going to get that interior design package.
I'm actually glad you brought up lighting. To go on a very quick tangent, lighting, you're absolutely right. Makes or breaks a kitchen. Actually can make what you thought were white cabinets not look white anymore. They can change literally everything, from where you put the recessed lighting to where you put the under cabinet lighting. How's the under cabinet lighting on? Is it a stick on, or is it built in? Is there a light rail on the bottom of the cabinets to block where the lights are, or do you have a remote switch? And we all, like when you go on vacation and you go to these very beautiful places and you see all these mood lighting in these fancy restaurants and all these things. Imagine going down in your kitchen and turning on a lighter. It's on all night, and you go down and you just have this beautiful ambiance of just lighting underneath the cabinets and shining down on, some black and white features. People don't realize, like, man, like I could literally have like this luxuriously looking home, but at the same time have someone work with me that doesn't break the budget. And if you can do that, man, you are golden.
I love the lighting in my kitchen so much that I almost leave it on all day, all the time.
Exactly.
Because it just makes me feel happy.
Exactly. 100%.
Especially on a day like today.
Yes, exactly.
It needs to be on.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, even like the tone of the lighting, right? The color. And
correct.
I mean, like you talk through 10 different things, but I mean, there's even more than that, Mm-hmm. There was like some smart control system that I was looking at the other day where it's like a command center almost, right? Because sometimes it's like if you have too much going on, then like your bank of switches gets out of control. So then like they reduce it down to this like really smart controller, and everything pipes into this control panel in the basement that has hundreds and hundreds of features within it.
So now you can, the switches are wireless. And you can place them wherever it makes the most. So you can do it after the fact, after you finish your kitchen.
So it's a real small pad and it's just a few buttons, but it has like hundreds and hundreds of abilities.
And it allows you to change the temperature of the light. It changes the intensity of the light. You can put it on smart timers to where the intensity will gradually start out during the day strong and then will die down during the evening times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wild.
Cicada, whatever, timing and all that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Talk about setting moods, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, lighting is a critical component of it. I mean, like you said, even the color, how the color interacts with the light. Like, you sit down in a certain environment and you pick a color and you're like, yeah, this looks great. Right. And then you put it in the space and you're like, oh, this doesn't look. I used to do renderings back in the day quite a bit, like for projects. And like we had to start putting disclaimers like in the corner of the image because they were too good. And what would happen is the owner would view it. And we're talking, this is like when I was in Chicago working on like high-rise buildings, right? So you're talking like hundreds of millions of dollars for these projects.
I saw this picture and I wanted this picture. Why doesn't it look like this picture?
Exactly. This is what I approved. This is why I approved it, right? Because of this image, literally, and it's like, they build the thing and it's like they're holding the picture up next to the thing that's built, and you're talking about this project that's millions and millions, and they're just like, yeah, it doesn't look the same, and it's like, so we had to start putting all these disclaimers, like this is an artistic interpretation of.
I respect that. If you're showing me an image,
well, because it's like you pick the best time of day, like that Goldilocks hour where it's like the sun hits it just perfectly and it's like glowing and illuminating, and so you're kind of like fabricating this scene to make it look like it's like the Matrix and the woman in the red dress, right? Like you're creating that perfect scenario, like where it's like that all your attention is there on whatever it is that you're showcasing. And they were looking at this image and looking at what was built, and they're looking at it like on a rainy day like today, and they're just like, this doesn't look anything like the image. So, yeah.
So I have to push back slightly because to me, I'm, straight shooter too, in the sense of like, it's kind of like the not having to put caution hot label on the Wendy's cup, in the sense of like, hey,
I ordered a hot coffee.
I should expect it to be hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I burned my hand. I want a lawsuit.
Can I get one hot coffee? And then you get it and you're like, why is it so hot?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I think there's a common sense element though in there, in the sense of like, it's not going to look like the picture. We should all know that, because it's not fully practical. I understand it. We got to put the disclaimer on there, but there has to be some common sense element too, and not to bash any homeowner, any business owner, or anything like that. I think, and you want it to be the image there, but it's the same thing as like real estate photos. Like we all know, we go to buy a home, we know that those pictures representing look fantastic.
It's representing the best.
Yeah,
it's representing the potential sometimes.
Yeah. Fair.
They take it from a certain angle, right, with certain lighting, from a certain time of day. Yeah,
the floors were oiled.
Yeah, they're controlling. But I when you were talking about the lighting and all the different factors and like how the color can change, right? I mean, like, again, like all of those things go into like the photography side of it or the rendering side of it. You're thinking about all those things as well when you're making this presentation on how it could be. And yeah, if you're really designing, like say we were doing like a really high end interior where we're thinking about all that stuff, there's actually lighting profiles you can download from the manufacturer that like will replicate the spread of the light, the color of the, all this stuff. So you can get it as close as possible to what it will be when it's installed, so that there's no surprises like that. Oh, I have white cabinets, but they don't look white.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It is the contractor's job to do everything possible to make sure it represents that picture as best as possible. And then there has to be a little bit of grace on the homeowner's side to say, hey, like, it's not going to be absolutely 100%, but I just want it to be 95 to 99.
Yeah.
So,
and it depends on how much goes into the image too, because if someone just does whatever, I mean, it could be this complete false thing that's never going to happen. But if they're taking the time to like go to the manufacturer's website, download these special profiles to actually use in the creation of this image, then it'll be a lot closer to the reality that gets built. So anyway, at the end of the day, there's a ton of stuff that goes into it.
Correct.
So yeah, you mentioned the lighting.
We can talk about all the little things here and there, and
you mentioned
I'll
the lighting.
Excited. Let's talk about crown molding. No, I'm just kidding. But
like, again, like the lighting side comes in on the design side too. So like, again, it has to be thought about then in order to be executed properly. So.
Well, Blake, I wanted to, we're kind of getting to the end here, and I wanted to, one thing I'm asking, because we do interview a lot of business owners, and I know you're not a business owner, but I know you have been in the past, and you've brought that mentality into Summit, right? So, and as a leader in the company, can you talk or speak to a little bit about the culture that you guys are developing with your team that has carried this message? Because I love what you're saying about caring about your clients and being aligned with them. But it's also you have to have that same conversation and belief with the team that you work with. So do you purposely try to build culture? Like, could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I actually can. So our culture, first of all, to credit Jason, has absolutely been built by Jason. And what we do as a team is we all take our shirts off our backs for our team. Now, we can't go to clients with our shirts off, but
unless you're in Cabo or something.
Yeah, then maybe that's all right. Yeah. But no, we take our shirts off our backs for each one of the team members, that no matter what, even if it's not one of our jobs or someone I'm working with, I actually have someone that just called me right now that is actually doing a final construction cleanup at a job that is mine, but it's not his, and he's helping me out and then I will go pick up materials for someone else, whatnot. It's always taking the shirt off the back for one another. When you do that, and also from a sales standpoint, anyone that's bringing in business, we do not preach on profit. Well, I should say everyone needs to make a profit. You want to do that. My point is that's not the end goal in the sense of like money. It's how can we help the homeowner, but also run a successful business. When you put those three things together.
Wait, profit comes.
It does. It naturally comes. And profit's not a bad word. Everyone has to make a profit and everyone has to make a living. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But when everyone has things they need to take care of. And at the end of the day too, like you want to take that money and reinvest it back into systems and processes so that the next time it's better for, whatever.
And it's better for the homeowner when you reinvest it in things that could help them too.
But you're right. I think that's a result of making the focus, when your core values are taking care of the client, making sure that the quality of the project is there, making sure the communication is there, doing a good job, right? Yes. And I think by doing these fundamentals, the result is going to be what you need. Sometimes we get sidetracked on like, oh, we need to hit this number. Well, now you're rushing. Now you're compromising.
Yeah, you're trying to make something happen.
And guess what that does? That sabotages your brand and your future business.
Correct. Yeah. And whatever relationship you're trying to build.
Yeah.
And sometimes to know how a culture is to know what a culture shouldn't be. And, I've worked for companies in the past that and I think you just alluded to it, it's the numbers game. Are we hitting these numbers? Are we doing this? And what that pushes one call close. They told me I got to get these numbers, so I got to try to sell this person right now. And that never leads to a good result because, okay, maybe they do business with you. Let's just say they're like, yeah, let's do it. I felt pressure, but let's do business. They're going to look at you through a lens the rest of the project. So that's what most companies do within the industry is they push. But when you serve, people buy. And that is the culture that we create at Summit.
Yeah, that's
brilliant.
That's the car dealership stereotype. That's why I have that in my head, right? Because it's like it's a numbers game, and it's not it's not this service side of things or this care side of things. It's just about closing the deal and whatever So
no, and to go back to that, I really think that it's important to get good at setting the expectations so they understand we're setting these expectations not to rush, but to protect you and the final result.
Correct.
Well, and to make them, sometimes they're just not aware of everything that goes into it. Sometimes they just have this grandiose idea and they're just, on the execution side of it, they don't realize that it's going to take 20 different things to get it to be reality.
And that's okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
that's our job to educate them on
yeah.
that.
And that's setting that expectation.
Yeah.
If you're having that conversation up front, then there's no surprises down the line.
And no one's perfect. I mean, there's definitely times where I realized that, there was an expectation I should have set that I didn't, and it's part of learning.
We're human.
We're human. And then sometimes I just want to bring this up that not every client is the client, or not every person you meet should become a client too, in the sense of if there's times where people will rush through to hey, I know that there's like a million things, but I just want to price, I want to get this going and we want to make sure we're being efficient, but we also want to say, hey, this is what could happen, or these are the details that need to be factored in. I'm not sure if you have been aware of this little thing or the lighting or the crown molding or whatever, because I know that even though I know you want me to get this going quickly, at the end, you may not like the end result. And who are they going to look at when you don't hit the end result? That's my fault. Yeah. And so I know to protect myself and set boundaries. And sometimes not everyone wants to go forward with those boundaries, and that's also okay. But if we create and keep the boundaries as a company, then we will most often have the clients that are also the best for us.
But honestly, you just triggered something with the little talk you just gave. It's like the best way to learn too. So for the next time, like I said, we're all human and we make those mistakes. But by making those mistakes, that's the best way to learn.
Yep. Because
I guarantee you, next time I'm definitely not going to make that same mistake again. So, and if you are, then that's an issue.
Yep. Then that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I mean, life is continuous learning. You're always picking up new things. You're always adapting. I remember my very first mistake I made, my first job out of school, I thought it was like a death sentence.
You remember what was it?
So do you want to share?
Sure. I'll give a little. So I went on vacation and I did something our firm had this policy where it's well, you can use whatever software, whatever tool you want to use, right? As long as others are kind of able to jump in and do stuff, we're good with it. And so coming out of school, they teach you certain softwares and certain tools. And so I was using one of those tools, and I didn't really check with anybody else on the team. Hey, if I leave here on my trip, are you guys going to be able to take this and run with it and make the updates needed and changes as the project is progressing?
Nope.
No, I didn't do that. I just left him on my vacation, right? Okay, guys, I'll see you in 2 weeks or whatever, a week.
You did have a good grasp of a lot of softwares that I didn't even know back in the day.
So anyway, nobody, for whatever reason on the team that I was on, everyone zero experience. Not even like, they didn't even know. They're like, what is this software called? Like, okay, he did it in this, like, we have no idea. It's like, I got like emails on vacation. I'm just like, well, what about this guy? Can he do it? What about this guy? No. Okay. What about her? No. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm on, my honeymoon or whatever, I was on like some trip where it's like, it's important and like, I'm not doing work on my trip,
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, when I came back, it was kind of like a reckoning, like, hey, you can never do this again. You need to make sure that someone's in place to progress this thing forward if you're not here to progress it forward. Like, we're fine with you using whatever, but if you're the only one that can do this and nobody else can support it, that's a problem. Like, how are we supposed to operate as a company? How are we supposed to operate as a business and move things forward if you're the linchpin here? So it's like, it was like a hard pill to swallow. And it was like one of those moments where like I knew I was getting called into the principal's office, like, oh boy, here I go.
Lessons learned by Paul.
But I've never done that.
I was about to ask. I was like, now the big question.
No, never. And like to this day, it's like when other people do that, that's like a huge pet peeve. Like, so like we upgrade every couple of years. So we're still in 2024 of the software that we're using, even though we're in 2026 now. I think 2026 is out. So like we'll probably upgrade maybe this year, depending on how busy we are, maybe next year. But it's like every 2 to 3 years you make that jump.
And we can do it anytime we want. We pay for the licensure.
But it's not backwards compatible.
It's a process.
So if Nick opens something in the newest, latest, and greatest software and hits save, he screws everybody up. Because then we try to go open it in our standard software that everybody uses that's stable, that we know is stable and is an older version. It might not have all the bells and whistles, but like if everyone's on that same version, everyone can work on it. So if he hits save in that newer version, everyone's screwed. So yeah, if someone does that today...
Why is it not backwards compatible?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It should be.
That's actually a really good
question.
You
need to make that call, okay?
That's for the software developers and the company. But it'd be great if it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so like to this day, if someone does that, it's that same issue. Nobody on the team can support, right? And if that one person, and say like, maybe I don't even have it installed, that program, the newest, latest, and greatest. And so maybe I only have the older version. Well, now all of a sudden the project is dead in the water because Nick is not here to work on it, and Nick is the one that saved it.
And that's a lesson I had learned not terribly too long ago, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow, Nick, that's so embarrassing.
Few years.
Yeah. I don't want to tell you all my mistakes, okay, guys?
Yeah. I'm gonna go sit in the corner.
But I mean, that's that's how we learn, and that's how you progress, right?
Yep.
So,
Blake, anything else you want to chat through as a parting note on being a professional in the industry?
I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate being able to be a trusted person in the industry and continue to not only grow our brand, but just grow relationships. I think it's so important. And it's something that I prided myself on. My dad, growing up, I would always go with my dad to networking events. And so I love to go to networking events.
You have to come to Coin.
Which I believe I will be going to Coin. Paul, I told Nick a little bit earlier, I said I was going to go to the Coin one, but then we had something with one of my million children, and I wasn't able to go. But no, the plan is to go. But I love going to networking events. But I just love meeting business professionals, continue doing that, and just continue to grow it. And I'm looking forward to. I feel like 2026 sounds like for you guys too. I feel like 2026 is going to be a really good year for Summit.
This first couple of months has been crazy busy.
Yep. I guess I'll add this note to end everything. The real estate market is just going to open up. I mean, with interest rates dropping down, people are going to maybe tap into cash out refinances, stuff like that. People are going to have a lot of liquidity that they didn't have before. And I believe people are starting to tap into that. They don't always tell you where they're getting their cash flow from, but if you understand the market from a business, and that's my job, is to understand the market so I can understand where to, have conversations at. But I think that that's why it's opening up, and people that 4 years ago, the economy is shifting better for people, and that they're able to take advantage of it. And not only take advantage of the economy, but also feel more comfortable with letting go of their cash and open up their pocketbooks because they feel more comfortable that they don't have to worry about it going anywhere or having to invest it or save it because prices are going up. So I think all of that plays into why the markets are starting to open up, and I believe they're going to continue to do so. They're going to ramp up in 2026, and I believe 2027 is going to be even bigger. That's what I think. So that would be my last, hurrah.
I like it. I hope you're right, and I think you are, certainly about 2026. We're really excited for all the growth that's happening right now in Columbus.
Yeah.
Where can we find more information about Summit?
Yeah, you can go to www.summitbuildingroofing.com. And you can find it. And my name is Blake Souls, as we mentioned before. So you can always reach out to me directly at bsoles, BSOLES, at summitbuildingroofing.com.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll put that in the show notes as well. So we have a transcript that goes along with everything.
Perfect. Yeah. Blake, great having you on. This was a fun conversation. I think we have more to talk about.
No more space conversations.
You guys missed a good pre-conversation.
I spared everybody.
He had to give us space. That was really bad.
It's the dad joke.
It's the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Which you can all day long, my friend. You get the dad jokes to yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
And with that, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
This has been the Arcfluence Podcast. As always, you can get more information and additional content on arcfluence.com. Please subscribe on the platform of your choice and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.